saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Approval of the minutes from the August 7th, 2023. If I have a motion. Motion. Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Bergdorf. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. All right, brings us to election of chair and vice chair.
Where's Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones is running late. He will be here.
I'd like to defer the election of chairman and vice chairman until he's here.
Okay, motion to defer. All those, where would you want to move it?
Just maybe down
After
under.
recognition of the public? He
Yeah.
said he was about 10 minutes late. He's caught in traffic, so.
Or,
Fair with the body?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move 5 to 6, and we'll bring 6 up to 5. That's all right, everybody.
Second.
I'll second that.
There's a second by Commissioner Bergdorf. All those in favor, signify by
Can
saying
I
aye.
have a moment of discussion? Instead of breaking the flow of the public and stuff, can we just move it to the end? I'm fine with that, and then it can flow. Okay, just point of discussion.
Is that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion. Oh, no, I was discussing.
You just want to put it at the end of,
Yes, and that way our meeting can just flow without interruption. When Tim comes, it'll be smooth.
And that would be under 10,
But I'm just discussing.
before we go to new business and old.
The problem with that is if anyone has to leave a little early, and it being at the very end.
that's true, Commissioner Wright does have an engagement he needs to be to it at 6, so he can even leave at 5:30.
Okay, I'm fine.
Will of the body, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of swapping the 2, recognition of the public election of chair and vice chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There we have it. All right. Anyone in the public, wishing to speak that has not signed up, we have 2. Kathy, Arlene, she's making these big fancy C there. If you'd come on up, state your name, please, and then we'll let you have your time to speak.
Yes, thank you. My name is Kathy Arlen. I live at 231 Chipaway Drive in Gallatin. I've been a resident here for the last 3.5 years. I was fortunate to have my employer, Toyota Financial Services, actually lead me to Tennessee, so I was very happy to do that, and to Gallatin. If anybody knows anything about Toyota, I work for a division of Toyota Motor Corporation, Big Toyota. We have a philosophy called Kaizen, which is called continuous improvement in Japanese. And basically that means incremental, continuous improvement in all things. And that's the philosophy we live by and that we try to bring to anything that we're involved in, including animals and animal rescue. So with that in mind, the group here this evening, and there are many of us, are here continuing to have some concerns about animal control. And we want to make perfectly clear and stress that our goals are to work with animal control and cooperate using the skills and knowledge that we already have. In the end, our goal is for the health and well-being of the animals in Sumner County, and we just want to approve and assist with that for the surrender dogs and cats and the stray animals that come into animal control. So as rescue advocates for those animals, we have 3 concerns under 3 umbrellas, and those things are health and wellness of the animals, communication with animal control, and community assistance and education. And I'd like to go through those 3 points sort of specifically. So in the areas of health and wellness, yes, we are concerned about animals that leave the shelter without having been vaccinated and or spayed or neutered. This continues to have ramifications down the road with sickness across the community and with additional animals being born that are unwanted and often abandoned. We're worried about proper intake procedures. That seems to be a problem with dogs and cats that do have issues when they come to animal control. We have had a letter that we're putting to that a couple of years ago. Sumner Spay Neuter itself would not allow any more animals from animal control due to the illnesses that they were exhibiting when they came to Sumner Spay Neuter. We want to make sure that the animals that are there do not decline with their health and become more sick due to either cleaning or health protocols or any other issues with health and wellness. And we respectfully disagree with the comment that was made at the last meeting regarding most of the animals coming in not being healthy. While that may be some, we know working in rescue that is not all. We take many that are sick, and many that are well, and there is many different things of that. The other thing is with communication. A quick look at internet search today revealed there are 4 dogs and 1 cat listed on Pet Finder. Pet Finder, if you're not aware, is the biggest animal site for adoptions. Those 4 animals were listed since 2022, and a call to animal control said we don't have any animals here that have been here since 2022. Now, I assume there are more than 5 animals currently at animal control, but none are listed on Pet Finder. So that is an area that can certainly be improved. We also would like to see humane education, both in our elementary and high schools and throughout the community. We would like to see the resources of a pet food pantry to help keep animals with their families. And some of this can be donated items from, we're fortunate to be near Mars, and they assist a lot with animal food and supplies, and that can be gotten out to the community to help them keep their animals, as we know people are struggling right now with the current economic situation. We'd like to see trap, neuter, and release put together for caption area. I know there are a number of people that work with that now. We would like to see that formalized and expanded. And we would like to see licensing, even differential licensing, and we can talk about that in the back about how that works. Licensing would reunite animals with their people, and it would help to support animal control with an income stream. And I know people don't like the idea of a tax. Don't consider it a tax. It's a voluntary thing that people do, and it has been done in areas where I have lived before. And it's a great way for people like me, who would never let their animals outside ever, be able to support the animal shelter. So, and the other area that we have is, again, humane education, pantry, and the licensing. So that really concludes everything that I have to say. Again, we are just here with wanting to help and make things better and continuously improve. And I believe that is really the name of the game in animal sheltering. Thank you.
Next up is our all-time loyal contributor, Kevin Baker.
Painted the...
No?
All right, Kevin Baker, 424 A.B. Wade Road. And to just show you how much I make this stuff up as I go, this young lady said something that kind of triggered my mind. Toyota is world-renowned for their quality, but remember, it was an American, Edward Deming, who taught Japanese statistical process control right after World War II. Because Americans didn't know how to do it, but we could go over to Japan and teach it. But anyhow, I think that's a great segue because we need to continuously improve. And I'm delighted to hear you talking about the animal control program. We need to do something with that. Primarily, it shouldn't be a focus for this county. We've got real big issues. I'm concerned as anybody for the dogs and the cats. I'm more concerned about the children that can't read, the books in the schools that are promoting pornography, that kind of stuff. All right, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is we have almost 300 pages of the sheriff's operating policies and stuff in 8-9 years since I've been coming here. This is the first time I've ever seen that. So kudos to the sheriff's department for getting it out in the open. Maybe it was there and I was asleep at that meeting. Don't know. The one thing that I would suggest, talking about continuous improvement, is I don't know how you all can identify what has changed in a 300-page document. I'd like to see redlining. When you redline something, so if there has been a change, we all know it. All right, there's a lot of suspicion with the sheriff's department with we were going to buy ourselves armored personnel carrier, and I was one of the people. I'm concerned about that. But one of the ways that we could eliminate that concern on the citizens' part, let's talk about what has changed. Redline it so we know this is what we used to say, this is what we're going to say. This is how we're going to do it, this is how we used to do it, this is how we're going to do it. I think that's best practice, and for bringing the Toyota process, we need to do that. Six Sigma. Here in county operations, we could save a ton of money. But anyhow, Commissioner, Chairman, thank you very much. Chairman?
All right. So that brings us up to, closed public comments. Then, okay. Now we have election of the chair and vice chair. So I spoke with legal, before, they said I could sit as chair, take nominations, and what the will of the committee is, we'll follow from there. So that brings us to election of the chair, and vice chair, so however the committee wishes to do it, we can do vice chair first, or we can go chair first, however you want to do it, whatever the will of the body is.
Chairman first.
All right, thank you. Somebody has to start it. So nominations for chair,
Nominate Darrell Rogers.
nomination by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Jones. Any other nominations? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
No, thank you. I'm delighted and honored to take it again. Now for the vice chair, any nominations for those? Vice chair?
I'm nominating Mary.
Nomination Commissioner Janone. You know, in second?
Second.
Second by, yep, Chair Boyd.
Boyd.
Commissioner Boyd, I'll get there in a minute. Any other nominations? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Abstain.
An abstention from Commissioner Janone. All those opposed? All right, we shall roll on as we are. Report of the chair, I have none, and what report I do have, I'll reserve it for, old business and new business as we go through. Report of the county mayor.
All right, I passed around some forms, due to the time constraints with the holiday and everything. We're not able to get them out prior to the meeting, but hopefully as the months go by, we have a little distance in time, we'll be able to get those to you earlier. But they're pretty straightforward. For our telecommunicators, they had 14,875 calls for law enforcement, 2258 for fire, 2278 for EMS, 4694 for 911, 13938 for administrative, which is right in line with the rest of the year, give or take a few numbers. As far as staffing, they are 5 short right now, but they do have a new group starting on Monday, going through the training process. They continue cross-training to build a more efficient staff. So that's where we are with our telecommunicators. With our EMS, you can look at the calls, where we are for August, July to August. Pretty close to the same, not much change as far as volume from month to month. If you look at the next page, it just breaks it down by station, which is a request that the committee had made, so you can see how the numbers are per station. Now if we move on, this was another metric that we were looking at. The responses in and out of Robertson County, as well as the other counties. Sumner responded to Robertson County 24 times, Macon County 1 time. The rest, we did not have any responses to Trousdale, Wilson, or Davidson. And then Robertson County came into Sumner County to respond 34 times. So to give you a breakdown of how that relationship is working. Then finally, this is something that Chief wanted to add. Of course, you know, with the new budget came everybody's new pay scales. And you'll see where Sumner is ranked right now. Obviously, you've got Nashville Fire is number 1. Montgomery County is number 2. And we're basically looking at paramedics when we're using this metric. And then Robertson, Wilson, and then Sumner. Behind us are Cheatham and Rutherford. So, just so y'all have a point of reference of
Are
what
these
pay.
starting salaries, or is this just,
Yes,
these are starting salaries, not
Yes.
currently what all people make?
right.
Go ahead.
What was the purpose to add this on there? You said the chief, or the sheriff wanted to add that?
It was just for your information. They wanted the committee to know. There's no,
Chief Austin, okay,
no, they're not asking for anything, they just wanted to give you the information.
okay.
I have another question. On the volumes, call volumes based on each station, what is the, average call? I mean, you can have a lot of calls, but are they like, I fell down, can't come up? Is it, car wrecks? I mean, what kind of volume are we looking at here? Because I know some of these areas, but I don't know, some of them are pickups at, are they pickups at like nursing homes and things?
Yeah, we don't have that broken down for you. If it's a fall or an accident or, we just don't have that broken down.
I believe most of your convalescent calls are generated out of the station one.
Right. So, well, and that would be true, because BLS is located in Station 1, so all of those transports, that aren't medical emergencies per se, those would come out of Station 1.
I get that, but I'm just asking like,
I'll ask the chief if they break it down by the type of call.
well, it has a lot to do with funding too, because it's based on what kind of call it is and what you're gonna charge for and what they get paid for. So by knowing and forecasting, you might be able to see that. It doesn't tell me anything when these numbers, these little columns.
Okay, so you wanna know what type each call is?
Yeah, you know, non-emerg, like,
I totally understand, because it's apples to oranges. I mean,
Yeah.
one place is just running over to the nursing home, and another one's running to a car accident, which would be a more lengthy. So although it may
Well,
look like
you
they
will
have
see
low
that
volume, they may actually have more work.
Yeah, the only non-emergency, i.e. transport calls, which is what we call VLS, that's all contained in Station 1. Okay, so you won't see any of those happening in the other stations. All of the other stations are all
So you're
emergency.
saying that EMS out on Airport Road, Station 1, is responding to a nursing home all the way over in Hendersonville to take them to a BLS situation?
Those are calls that are scheduled transport calls, and they are all handled through the BLS department.
Out of the Airport Road, and they're not coming out of like a Hendersonville station to transport them to
No, we would
Dr. Joe Blow.
reserve Hendersonville for emergency. Yeah. Yeah, we can't station, BLS ambulances, we don't have a staffing for that.
Well, I know a lot of them do like first call and all that,
Right.
pick up people and things like that. But I'm just trying to understand who, what, and where. And
Right.
this doesn't give me, this is like looking at a road and figuring out where the road goes.
Yeah.
Two paths, you know, I don't know. I'm just asking.
Okay, well, this is
Help
the same thing that's been submitted. So what you want differently is you want to know what each call is.
It'd be nice. That's what the volunteer fire department does. They give us a grouping of non-emergent, yeah, they let us know, you know, we've had 25 I can't get up calls versus
Right.
health issues. And the reason that is important, because in some of the areas where they're looking at paramedic community, or volunteer paramedic communities, where they actually they go out on calls instead of tying up other places, that's important data to know, so you can forecast, so.
Be happy to share that with you.
I have some questions. I'm new to the table, so please have been here before. I'm sorry. How many employees do we have at EMS? I know that we talked about how many, there have 5 more coming on board. What's the population of employees?
I don't have that exact count.
That's the ECC report there, Commissioner Boyd, that's on the front. 5 more coming on board, that's the That's totally different. That's not your EMS.
Yeah, that's our telecommunicator.
Okay, so my question is how many employees do we have at EMS?
The EMS, I think it's 158, I think is right, if it was full
That's
staff.
my
Which is fluctuating, yeah, but it's right at 150. Yeah, maybe a little more, yeah.
And then, I appreciate the operational, I'm wondering about the business end. How many receivables do we have in those?
Receivables?
Yeah, that would be like what you and being worth.
Reported that number, I will add that to the.
That would be the business office.
So do you want
I'm just
days of
wondering.
receivables?
Yeah.
Okay, receivables in days, okay.
The
What else
contract,
would you like to say?
the company that does it, it should be a pretty easy number for them to tell.
Okay. You wanna
I'm
know-
wondering,
You wanna know the company who does it?
no, I'm just saying that company is,
Oh.
it's a standard.
Okay. You wanna know your turnover on receivables?
No, county
Turnover
is
ratio?
outstanding. It's really a
30,
measurement of
69.
how much they're,
Okay.
how fast they can get them
That's
turned
fine.
over. Last time
So
we
you
talked.
do want a ratio?
Well,
You know
it-
how quick they turn over?
It's how many's outstanding. So if you have like 60 days of bills out there, the days in receivable would be 60 days worth of bills.
Okay, so you want to know days of receivables.
Don't know. I was wondering, with the chart back here, and we're comparing, I don't see vacation hours. Do we know what the vacation periods are at these other counties?
Every county does it differently,
If we're gonna compare.
so, right. And, you know, you have vacation, I mean, we'd have to ask each county what the vacation is. So
I'm not asking because of that, I was just wondering.
And add to that, just what is their benefit package and
Okay,
how
so
much
we
is
want to
it
know the
worth?
benefit packages of
If
each
we're gonna
county.
do it.
The value, that's why I was kinda asking what that was on there for. If we're gonna compare, make a comparison, I want to see the benefits package.
Here, I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
Okay.
That's out of the minute. Mayor, they would always bring us how much money we've brought in. It's right there, the pie chart.
And we don't have that this month, Mayor, that may be.
No.
Yeah, they left that off this report.
Right.
I will have that for the next one.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything they want to say?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what they went to Macon County for?
No idea. I'll be happy to find out.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, they're probably, they have a station in Westmoreland, so it could be. Yeah, we forget how close that is to me, but maybe.
I'm sure it's tied to the mutual aid agreement, but I will get the exact call on that.
I just think of Macon County as the other side of Troutdale County. No, it's not.
No, we can
Over
go
there.
there.
Feels like it is.
All right, report of the sheriff. I don't know the chief granted here, or doesn't need to have that report. All right.
I have a question for the sheriff if he comes back.
Okay.
No, but it's down here under,
Is there a representative here from the sheriff's department that we can talk to?
it'll be the animal control, I think is why most of them, but I'm just answering your question of why most of them are here.
Okay, well, I have a question about, getting some calls about the, employees at the sheriff's department, the jail. They're upset, they're not getting paid enough. My understanding is we had a budget hearings, and we had a budget process, and we had a budget that was passed. So, my concern is, number one, is the sheriff aware there are disgruntlements over there about this? Number two, the comments were, it's unsafe in the jail. Well, that's concerning, and there's people leaving. So, my question is, are they aware of it, and can they give us some feedback on that?
I'm getting the emails also.
Everybody is,
I've-
or
yeah.
it's just a lot of bluster generated by a former employee that is disgruntled and has left and gone to another county, stirring the pot.
Well, it could be that, or it could be people that are generally concerned. I don't dismiss it, because I think that we owe them, at least,
No, I'm not dismissing it, I'm just saying, you're right. the sheriff should be aware that they should address it, because it's coming from their ranks, and it needs to go to their department head. It should go to their department head, not to the commissioner.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine, go ahead, sir.
Since I'm the ranking person here, I guess I will just do the sheriff.
Let everybody know who you are and
Yes,
then take off.
I'm Captain Hurst, Sumner County Sheriff's Office. I've been proud to be a public servant in Sumner County for 45 years. I'm a citizen of Sumner County. I am aware of the concerns that you all receive, and they're really very valid concerns. The problem we have, not just our agency, but agencies throughout the country, is employees. Not everybody wants to be a corrections officer. That's a tough job. And with Robertson County raising their pay, everybody around us raising their pay, the officers are looking at that. And they're kind of wondering, what are we valuing them? Okay? Why are we valuing them like other counties? We do have, in the jail, I'm sure y'all know, for a long time, we've been short of employees. It's just hard to get employees to work in the corrections. We have raised some, and I really appreciate that. But right now, there's a battle going on in law enforcement. Every law enforcement agency around is raising pay, offering, $5,000 as a bonus just to come to work there, on top of their salary. So, I am really proud of the sheriff's office that we have a good atmosphere. And that's why we have a lot of officers, excellent officers, that you see back here, are staying because of our atmosphere. But it's getting harder every day to keep some of these young, bright officers with what they're being offered to go to other agencies. We put a lot of education in them, a lot of effort in them, and, it's just a sad situation. I understand financial strain. I'm a taxpayer, I understand that. But, if we're gonna operate, we've got to operate, so, yes, the sheriff is aware of that.
Do they have a plan, though?
The sheriff actually has a plan. I think he's going to come to present. I'm not in a position to present that, but I do know that he's coming forward to the commission with a plan.
The problem I have is that if this was an issue during budget time, it should have been presented.
Well, I believe it probably was another shutdown.
Okay.
Through the budget process, we were actually cut.
But I also think
Point
that,
of order, Mr. Chairman, can we suspend the rules this weekend?
He's giving a report of the sheriff. He's giving a report of the sheriff.
But can other people, this is gonna lead into more questions, I'm gonna have questions. So,
I would believe that, but
I'll make a
we're at
motion
the table, we're at.
suspend the,
we're all going.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
so you believe he has a plan to come forward?
Mm-hmm.
And I also would like to know, and you may not be able to answer this, sir.
Yeah, several things that may refer to.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Kind of put you on the spot, kind of thing.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I've been there before.
I'm sure. So, I'm a believer in proactive instead of
Absolutely.
reactive.
Absolutely.
And I find that, I don't know how to say this without getting my head slammed on the table. If you're aware of it and you got, I did not know, I didn't know that this was brought up and that they were shut down. I don't understand that,
Shut down on something.
with the issues with salaries and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know that. I can't say that. I don't know that. I didn't hear it. Sorry. But I am concerned about fire. Here's why, okay? I just went through a hurricane, and that was very, very stressful. And I was surrounded by emergency management, the sheriff's department, first responders, rescue dogs, everything that you can think of. And they work very hard, and they are here for us at our beck and call. And I am concerned that we have people that are unhappy. I personally could not work in a jail, because I know what I would say to a jailbird, and I would say, no, I know, I wouldn't do well. I'm sorry I couldn't work there. I'm just telling you, don't ask me to work at your jail.
And I couldn't either. I have, you know.
But I am concerned that these folks, I just heard Gallatin's police department, they should have, they're half the force they have. And people don't want to understand that. And that's services. Those are services that we're supposed to be providing. And we're allowing building and overgrowth in this county and in cities. And we're not listening. They're not listening. And I don't want to be a part of a program where we're not listening to the fact that we are required to provide services. And I'll be quiet.
Chairman,
I think we, although he's very capable, and I'm going to say something about that in a moment, I think we need to be careful about the questions that we ask Danny, because now it puts him on the spot, having to speak for the sheriff. I appreciate him coming forward and saying what he has here today, so I wouldn't want him to be put on the spot for really technical questions. I think having the sheriff here to talk with him would be the best thing in the world for that.
and probably a lot of our questions needs to go to the sheriff as a sounding board. So, Commissioner.
Yeah, this isn't so much a question, it's, just making a statement for the record. You said that, Sheriff Weatherford is planning a proposal to come forward. I would encourage him to come forward with, like we asked for the EMS, to come with a full benefits package of what things are worth. Fortunate this wasn't done just a couple of months ago during budget season, and we're getting all the letters, but I wonder if the letters went to the department head first like they're supposed to. And it seems like we're putting the cart before the horse here, and this isn't a question for you, I'm stating it for the record so the sheriff can see the video and you can maybe report back to them.
And I need to confess something. I'm an old man and very opinionated. Okay? Police officers and correction officers are citizens too.
Yeah.
And if they send a letter as a citizen, then you got that total right to do.
Sure. And for the record, there's not a bigger supporter of first responders. I mean, my two sons are. So I'm just saying, to make things proper going forward with the presentation, don't make it, don't make it delayed by not bringing, this is for the sheriff, don't make it delayed by not bringing the full understanding of what the comparison is, because I have a feeling that's what's going to be coming. Because we just addressed that with the EMS, so I'm just stating that. Yes, sir. For a request ahead of time.
I just want people to know that we heard them. I heard them. And that's all I got to say. I'll be quiet.
Our sheriff's office, EMS, and EMA is part of our infrastructure that has not kept up with the growth of this county. And it's time we get on top of it. And of course, you know, if a vote comes up on it, I will abstain from it. But I support these guys, 110%, all of them. You don't know what it's like to get called out at 1 o'clock in the morning to a car accident, a fatality, a suicide, a homicide. These people go through a lot, and they deserve every penny they can get. As far as benefits packages, I know for a fact Robertson County and Wilson County are comparable to ours. It's just the money's not comparable. Benefits, yes.
And I think that's what we'll notice, a lot of these candidates, TCRS or retirement.
And they are.
So, may I make a motion to ask the sheriff to come back with his plan next meeting and present it under old business?
I'll reach out to him.
Did we not have something coming in front of budget next week?
We did.
That's what I was thinking.
So we need to vote on that? So second that, should be in the motion
I made a motion for that.
to ask the sheriff to come up.
I think we'll see it next week, but sure, we can entertain the motion requesting the sheriff.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So we'll request the sheriff next month. Which will be October. We'll have that under, old business. But, yeah, that'd be fine. Old business. Report of the volunteer fire department?
I have no report. I've been requested by some departments to, hold back a month on reports so they can get their statistics together. And I thought we were coming off the agenda and went through the mayor.
What, do we,
Yeah, I'm not sure volunteer fire department should be under me.
no, they shouldn't. They should be a standalone.
Yeah, I thought at the last meeting we voted that we would go.
No.
No.
It was those in the constitutional officers.
Okay. I will continue.
Very well.
And I'd like to remind you all that volunteer fire is part of that infrastructure. And we feel like we're getting overlooked at this point. We have lost ground, so we need your support. But, we're part of that infrastructure that you're talking about with emergency responders. We respond to, along with the ambulance, medical calls, and don't forget about us.
I have a question, sir, if I may.
Sure.
Could you tell us how many volunteer fire department employees, or not volunteers, we have countywide?
Pardon me?
How many volunteers do we have countywide?
I can find that out because I sent an email around a little while ago with that number. But I will pull that out and I'll email it to you. There's around 115 or so.
Can you give it to us by station?
Get it to you.
By station? Would that be
Yeah, I
possible?
think I
Just so
have
that
it.
we
I
can
think-
see if there's a short, you know,
I
just
think
so we
I
know what
have
the
it by
coverage is
station.
of it.
There is a shortage. It's a huge shortage.
I'd like to see it.
It's huge.
Uh-uh.
Chairman Hodge, you have
Hard to get
somebody
somebody
to
to do something for nothing.
Yeah, I asked if I could say something
Yeah,
before we get into all the other with the sheriff's department.
Yes.
Danny, where is Danny? Danny is, Danny and I started, many years ago, many years ago, the SRO program in the county. And he still, that's one of the divisions under his supervision. And I'd just like to say that there probably is no better stand-up person in the county law enforcement than Danny. He is a great individual, and if you have not met him, I hope every commissioner here would have the opportunity to introduce yourself to him before you leave here today. He is just a great individual, very good decisions. I had the opportunity lately, in addition to that, to attend a review of an emergency management plan at the Magnet School in Hendersonville, and this is done with all schools, and I think the chairman is familiar with these agencies, such as the sheriff's department, the first responders, emergency management. Everyone that would be called to an incident at a school is there, and they go through their emergency plan. And it's really, really impressive what is happening with the safety in this county with our schools. The city of Hendersonville is there, fire, police, and this has been done at every school throughout the county. If an incident does occur, we can't say that there will not be tragic things to happen, and God forbid, we hope not. But I will say this, from what I observed, our county is probably more prepared than many other counties and systems in the state of Tennessee. It is so detailed as what they would do in the case of an emergency. You would be more than welcome to attend, and I would encourage you to attend one of these at a school just to see what's going on. But kudos to the sheriff's department. They do just an absolutely fantastic job in keeping our schools safe. Thank you.
All right. Old business, there's discussion of animal control, temporary closure. Just get a motion and then we'll, Got a motion by Commissioner
Second.
Tenow, Commissioner second by Commissioner Jones. And, y'all do presentation on this, so we'll just, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, so I think it would be better if we suspend the rules, and let them take over, and then we'll bring it back into session. So all those in favor for suspension of the rules, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, I'll just break that.
Yes, for, Captain Hurst is going to do the presentation, I'm just a clicker. I'm just a clicker. He's much more than that. First of all, I want to thank you for having us today. You know, I really want people to know that, even though we're public servants and we're paid, we have passion also. There is no one at Animal Control, that don't have passion for animals, okay? They go over and beyond in what they should do. And I'm saying that, I'm over the Animal Control as far as my division as a captain, but I don't run it daily. This time Lieutenant Tarlacki does, but, I'm their support, you know, I'm their go-to person. And I really appreciate what was brought up about the Animal Control, because that allowed me to really dig in, and I did. I dug in really hard. Thank you, Mr. Hyde's comments. If I'm involved in something, I want it to be right. I want it to be good. And the way I look at all things, as we did the SRO division that Mr. Hyde started, is we started at baseline. Baseline's not good. I want to be above that. I want to be beyond that baseline. You know, baseline's the minimum, okay? We want to be better than the minimum, okay? So, first of all, I would love for y'all to know that, and not only, you know, me tell you, but I want to show you that, okay? Let's see, I've already introduced myself, so I don't have to do that, okay? So, facilities is what we should be to, but we're in staffing. Did you actually finish that?
Probably. I am done.
There we go.
That's a clicker.
Done as a clicker. I'm gonna take back what I said. Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna give you an overview, and believe me, you know, I know you don't want to be here 2 or 3 hours, or I can talk, okay? The facility opened in approximately 2011. We are licensed, and we are, every 2 years, I believe, is that right, Lieutenant? That we are inspected by the state, and we pass, as a licensed animal shelter, which is a little different than an animal kennel. And I'm really not going to get into this presentation, but it's a little different. Our capacity, intake is 51 kennels. Dog adoptions, that means dogs have been vetted that are okay for adoption. We have 21 kennels. Cat intake, we have 32. Cat adoption kennels, we have 27. We also, and we've had some cases, especially on animal cruelty cases with livestock. The majority of those cases are with horses. And so we have to pick up the horses and basically save them. Some of them, you know, are starving, and some of them are just in really bad conditions. And so we house them and we feed them and so forth until the court decides what their position is. Now, this is something I'm real proud of, is our staffing. We're allotted for 4 post-certified law enforcement deputies. An animal control officer is a deputy, period. And a lot of them with years, as you look here, the deputies, they have years of experience as either a detective, as a patrol officer, as a supervisor, whatever, and they've come over to the animal control. We have over beyond their post certification, which they have to go to in-service every year, and they have to go to the academy and so forth. They also take 120 hours of specialized training in animal control officer training. Okay, I can't get detail on that because I hadn't been, but it is, you know, a requirement that they attend. And also, which I have been to, we go to animal cruelty investigation, because that's what we do a lot of. If someone, a citizen's call says, like here lately, so listen, these horses, they're in a bad situation here. So we go investigate that, and it does reach to the level of probable cause. We get a search warrant, okay? We serve that search warrant. And we have a state ag person with us, the state vet, so the state vet office with us. And if they concur, we will confiscate those animals and bring them to our facility into the court disposition. And sometimes that can be a job, but we do that.
The civilian employees, we have two civilian employees that, my gosh, they do a heck of a job. A whole lot more than their job description says. And quite honestly, we couldn't operate very well without them stepping up. They're adoption specialists, they deal with the public with adoptions. They're event coordinators, we'll talk about events in just a few minutes. We do several events. And our social media managers. So let's talk about social media. On Facebook, we have 7,300 likes at this time. We have 8,300 followers, and we have a 4.5 rating. I wish that was a 5, but it's a 4.5 rating. At this time, let me introduce you to some of our staff real quick. This is Officer James Spray. He actually came from the Gallatin Police Department and Metro Parks Police. He has got several years of law enforcement. Lieutenant Tyler, how long have you been with the Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant? 27 years. He's been with the Sheriff's Office for 27 years. We got Lieutenant Dracky. His name sometimes leaves me. But here, and he's one, you know what? Look at this guy. He's one of these young officers that I am so proud when he walks around with our uniform on, okay? But he's also one of them officers we don't want to see leave, okay? We got Captain Hughes here, who's one of our civilian employees. We got Rebecca Lester, and we got Hunter Garrison. And here, we have Lieutenant Matthews, an ex-commissioner, and he operated animal control for several years. And he's very knowledgeable. And he graciously came tonight in case there was a question I couldn't answer. So he said, go ahead, sir. Okay, here's kind of a pie chart. I didn't even look at my notes, I'm just rambling. Here we got a pie chart here that kind of tells you what we've done. This is since January 1st till September 5th of this year. You're looking at, if you look at those different amounts of, the total of since that time, we have received 704 animals, okay? And if you look at that, which I'm gonna have to walk up because my notes are too small, you know, so strays are 492, owners surrender 171. We have a lot of owners surrender, and this could be, number one, they just can't handle the dog anymore, they can't afford to feed the dog, you know, they've got elderly, people pass away, and they bring them to us. Cruelty, we had two cruelty at that time that we received. We also receive animals from different agencies too. Whether it be the Gallatin Police Department or Henderson Police Department, we act as, when they have their animal control officers, but they bring their strays and so forth to our shelter. Please. So this is the disposition of the, if you look at this here, and I'm sure y'all can see that probably better than I do. But it shows, of those 704 animals, what happened to them during this time, okay? 70% of the animals we took in at that time were either rescued, adopted, good outcome, or returned to owners, found their owners, a really good outcome. And I'm really proud of that, because that is a lot of work, okay? That is a lot of work. At this time, I'm going to, I'm going to ask Officer Spray, Deputy Spray, to explain one of the success stories that we had. Sir?
Yes, we received a call from a man, I believe, up north, I believe it was Philadelphia. His friend lived here in Westmoreland and had a stroke at work and was rushed to the hospital. This man lived alone. He was estranged from his family. And the man that called me was very worried about the gentleman's dogs left at the house uncared for. It was 3 days by the time he made contact with us. He asked us if we could go check on the dogs. We used our resources. We actually located the owner of the dogs. We made contact through the nurse with the owner of the dogs. He had a stroke. He's unable to say much. He said yes, no, we used hand signals. He allowed us to come to Nashville, to the hospital he was at, pick up his keys, go out and recover his dogs. And we're still housing his dogs while he is in rehab recovering right now. So we're currently, I think, had 3 dogs. Is that right? We're currently keeping 3 of his dogs for him, feeding them, watering them, playing with them, whatnot. So that's one of our great success stories.
And that's just one of many, but I would also like to say that we act as public servants, and we know we're public servants. We want to serve the citizens of Sumner County as verbally and best as we can. That's our, we're not income producing. That's not what our job is. We're public servants, and that's what we do. Go ahead, sir. This is a picture of some of the events we have. So we go to school and we talk to children about animal care and animal law and so forth. As you see there's Lieutenant Tarlack, he was a donkey. So he goes around every year and these last couple of years, he has a story about the music donkey, I believe it is, and, you know, he touches bases with the kids and talks to the kids, and he does that in every elementary school, is that correct? Yes. In every elementary school in Sumner County. There in the middle, you see our great office staff, well, I hate to call them office staff, because they do everything. Lieutenant Tarlacki there, had an event there, and shows how we set up, and we hand out educational materials and talk to people. Lieutenant Tarlacki does a great job on Facebook. As you said, as you've seen, we had like 7,300 likes and 8,400 followers. I believe that was the number. And he puts, constantly, we're putting dogs on social media for them to see what we have. And we have quite a bit of success with that. You know, he plays with it. So, you know, I think, what are you going to be at Halloween?
We're dressing up as mystery team, Scooby-Doo.
So we have fun. We have fun for it, and we have a passion for it. I'm telling you, sometimes I see these pictures, and oh man, I cry too. And see people with these dogs, and just so happy that they got their hands. Okay, and that's because of these guys' hard work. That's because of what they've done to expose these animals to people and show them that they're available. Go ahead. Okay, here's some great, see some of these pictures that bring tears to my eyes, right here. I mean, anywhere from, you know, the one with the elderly man hugging that dog. Oh my gosh, you know, if you see the smiles, and these are just very, very few of the pictures that we have. It's like showing pictures of your grandkids, right? We're proud of them, that won't show. So that's some of the adoption stuff we have, and like I said, just look at those smiles on faces, and that's our goal, you know, is get smiles on faces. Yes, sir. Community partners, okay? We deal with a lot of rescues, okay? Now, rescues are the same as personalities, right? Each one of us have a different personality. Rescues got different wants and needs and demands and so forth. So, I mean, we try to deal with several. Those are several of the rescues that we actually work with. We have, like, sometimes somebody comes in and gets how many cats, Lieutenant, that one rescue?
They took, this past weekend, they took 12, the week before they took 21, and took them to Ohio for a farm program.
So we are working with community partners. We are working with rescues for this, and quite frankly, we couldn't do without them. Okay, so they are great partners. Now, Ball State Community College, like I said, thank you for bringing us forward, because we have been able to really look hard at ourselves. And looking hard at ourselves, we've seen improvements that we can make. Okay, and I think the speaker talked about continually improving. I believe in that. An example is our SRO with the beginning guidance to Mr. Hyde. We didn't stay at that baseline, just security. We improved, and we actually got the award this year for the #1 program in the United States. And that's what our goal is at Animal Control too. It's not going to happen overnight, but that's our goal, and that's what we're working towards. We're really going to be talking a lot to Ball State Community College to see if they can step up with partners with us. And yes, I do think animals need to be vaccinated, and it would be really good to have that done before they left. Yes, animals need to be spayed and neutered. That would really be done before they left. It takes money. Okay, it does take money to do these things. And you know, we'll talk about the financial responsibility in just a minute. Mars Corporation. So there's some questions. So why do you have a budget for dog food? Mars Corporation gives you dog food. Well, you know, I didn't know, so I dug in. Guess the Mars Corporation, they give us dog food that we're grateful for. But you know what? They're giving us dog food that is expired maybe in 2 weeks, right? We cannot feed all that feed in 2 weeks sometimes. But we can't feed it because it's expired. So we have to purchase food at that time. Am I speaking correctly?
We've had that. We've had supply issues. They're just like everybody else. Last year, I think 2 months in a row, we had to buy, and we're only allowed to feed pedigree under this program. So if they have a supply issue, we cannot go out to Walmart and get old Roy. We've got to go get pedigree, or we lose this grant. So pedigree by pallet is about $600, and it takes about 2 pallets a month. So we had some issues with that. They do not supply cat food. They do not supply horse food, hay, stuff like that we use. So that's where the food budget goes a lot.
Do some of the farmers in the area, try to help volunteer to provide hay?
No, we have to purchase that. We
You're not
normally,
you have to buy-
when we do get an animal cruelty case, we have a 501(c) called Operation Animal Hope, and we can pull money out of that for hay if it's a cruelty case that we're investigating. Now, earlier this year, we had 11 horses, no, 6 horses, I'm sorry, I was thinking a year ago. We had 6 horses, they were not a cruelty case, they were an at-large case. The livestock were running at large for 2 weeks. We couldn't pull out of the 501(c) to feed those animals because it was a cruelty case. The owner just didn't want to pay us money to come get their animals back. So we had to hold on to them so we could adopt them out.
Can I, with the horses, since Mary asked, I know that we spoke about the ones we have from Wilson County that we're taking care
Yes,
of.
ma'am.
Do they pay us?
They will be. Once we total up everything and the end of their court case, we will send them what we have spent on it. They will pay us. Sheriff Robert Bryan assured me of that.
Has anybody asked, I don't know who to direct the question towards, the question to Mars Corporation about the expiration dates, if they can do anything with that to make their donation worth something?
I'm not familiar with doing that.
I'm not familiar with the grant.
Maybe that's something we could
Reach
reach
out
out
to,
to.
something that was in place before I came. I don't know if Lieutenant Matthews can attest to it.
I can attest to
Absolutely.
Smart Corporation. This has been something that was started shortly after the shelter was opened. Gracious company. But like we said, supply issues, trying to get from one location to this. Sometimes this stuff may sit somewhere for a long period of time before they can get it out because of the supply issue, keep COVID something like that. So that's the reason why you're seeing some of these expiration dates being short.
Can I press down upon that a little bit? Are you getting it directly from Lebanon?
We go to, they ship it to a warehouse in Nashville, Cisco Drive is where our designated points.
And they recently just changed that. Because the warehouse is getting overcrowded, they are now delivering to us.
Oh, that's right.
Each month.
Yeah, we used to have to go down
That
there.
happened last month, so we've only had one delivery from that. Gonna take care of the expiration date issue? I hope so.
We're chasing the product around that's made in Lebanon, so, you know,
Well, that was just.
that's our problem.
Like,
not-
we got a contract about AB that we signed, and certain rules and regulations that we have to abide by, or they come in and stop the program. It is a big help. It saves thousands of dollars a year representing food.
Sure.
Of course, the company's, it's a program that's all across the United States. That's not only our shelter, there's hundreds of shelters that do. What's it good for Mars? Well, advertising for one, Mars Corporation pedigree, and number two, tax write. I mean, we're talking business now. So but they are, Mars Corporation likes to be involved in communities and likes to be involved in animals. So I know that's the product, one of the many products, but they do this really to help out, and of course, like I said, as a business expense line too. Beforehand, when I was there, I was there for 5.5 years with animal control. You got when I was there, sometimes it's 6 months to the expiration on some of the food that came in. Sometimes it was 4, and then, like I said, recently, apparently, because of supply chain and everything, it sounds like that it's gone down to minimum. But they should be able to pick that back up. But they're got to get rid of the food in their warehouses in order to try and get other food in. But we didn't get it directly from Lebanon because that's not what's contact company. They tell us where it used to be when I was there, where and when it ended up. Now they've converted it, sounds like, and they're delivering, which that saves us a bunch of time, loss of time, and money and gasoline running back and forth to Nashville. So that's
Well, the main thing is getting product that's not too big shelf life.
Can I touch on something that she mentioned earlier? We do have food hangar. We do give out food. They just have to come and ask. And we're not stocked like we are for our animals that are at the shelter. But when we have it, we're glad to give it out. And when Mars gives us extra stuff that they want to get rid of because it's expiring soon, we will share it with other places, like Travis County, Macon County, and anybody somebody that wants to come do it. So that is there.
Other shelters as well, other shelters in the area?
Yes, other county-run shelters, we helped Macon County, Trousdale County. Macon County had a real bad shortage last month, and we brought them, extra stuff that we had that was gonna expire so that they could take care of it too.
Guys, let's bring it back into the committee. We don't need public comments.
So, to continue, I would like to, we are at the present time, I talked actually this afternoon, well, corresponded with Chief Pratt this afternoon, and we are working really hard with Ball State Community College in their tech program to let them use some space that was originally open for spay and neuter, to let them use that space and do vaccinations and things such as that. You know, for they get help by teaching their students and stuff to do these type of things. So we are really actively going to negotiate with them to try to have them come in more often and hopefully do vaccinations. Yes, ma'am.
I have, since you brought up the vet program, I have a question about the vet.
We got the
You
slide.
got that slide?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Okay. Oh, there you go. Good timing. That's our veterinary services from Dr. Greg Miller. He's been there for, I don't know how many years, but several, I would say. 3 years, or on or about. He visits the shelter frequently. He advises on animal care. He provides administered medications as needed. He evaluates the shelter's needs. And of course, he's on call at needed. So when he comes in, he walks around, looks at all the animals and so forth. And we have I don't know, I can't explain it to you, and it'll take too long probably for one of these ladies and explain to you. But we have, when we bring dogs in, we evaluate them as far as our lay evaluation. And if we obviously see something, of course, we're going to obviously tell him immediately. But if we don't see something, he's still going to be walking around the shelter looking at the animals, see what comes out.
I have a question. Do you have a policy at the shelter, at the doghouse, I call it the doghouse, at the doghouse that says the veterinarian is required within 3 days to evaluate an animals that are brought in?
I'm glad to answer that. So the veterinarian, I'm not really sure, between $2,100 and $2,600 a month is what he receives, okay, to be our veterinarian, okay? He has problems with personnel just like we do, okay? If we wanted him more often and demand more things from him, one or two things might happen. One thing he might say, I really don't have time for this, I've got my own practice. Another thing he might say, yeah, I need more money. So, of course, the money is a budgetary thing, and if
How
we think,
often does he come?
he may come.
What's that mean,
Okay, I'll be glad to explain that. Okay, he comes at least once a week, sometimes twice, and if we have issues, he'll come more than that. And, I'm sorry, did I answer your question?
Well, it does, because in people world, where I practice, we have so many days to evaluate somebody that comes into the facility. So when you have animals that are ill or sick,
Well, we will call him.
Do you have a policy that within these many days, these animals will be evaluated by the vet?
Well, so as we went earlier on staffing, so each officer has 120 hours of animal care specialized training. So our officers can, as a layperson, look at them and see any obvious signs of coughing, of injuries,
right,
of anything that and if it needs immediate vet attention, they will call Dr. Miller and he's on the spot.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so I want to continue on our line of questioning. So to administer medications, nobody else is trained to administer medications?
He has showed us how to administer certain medications. And the next slide, I think will answer your question. So the next slide, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
That's what I was asking.
Okay. So the next slide is actually about, I didn't time it, but it's 3 to 5 minute video of Dr. Miller himself. I know there was a lot of questions about our closure and our quarantine, and I hope this video from the veterinarian himself will answer those questions. Please, sir.
Hello, my name is Barry Miller.
Am I hear that okay?
Veterinarian that works for Sumner County Animal Control. I wrote out little things on the so that, I worked with the Health Patrol for the past several years. I worked with many team members. Just to work with them, and we help to, help animals that have been neglected, thrown out, abused, dropped off, strays, all that type of thing. We treated skin conditioning, ear infections, all kinds of things we see. We've also done some dog fight repairs, wound repairs, spays, neuters, all kinds of stuff. Every time I go there, the facilities are clean, they're being clean, animals. It's nice, I enjoy working there. Approximately July 1st, 2023, I was alerted we had a couple of dogs coughing. We isolated them and then started some medications for them. A few days later, July 6th, we had lots of dogs coughing and carrying on. I went down there, talked with the team. We So from there, it started, obviously it was very contagious. It started just a couple, and now we had, I don't remember exactly, it was 20 or so, coughing, carrying on, stopped eating, lethargic, laying around. So brought a bunch of meds and fluids and that type of thing. We had started the treatment to help with them. We did subcutaneous fluids, injectable antibiotics, oral antibiotics, injectable anti-inflammatories, a whole variety of things just to try to cast abroad that. At that point, meeting with the team, I recommended, I felt like we, obviously we had a highly contagious cough of the respiratory infection going on. So I recommended to them to close the facility based on the contagious nature of this. So over the next several weeks, respiratory infection, some of them started getting better, others were just picking it up, but essentially ran its course through the entire facility. Some dogs didn't get it, kind of the lucky ones. Other dogs had it, some recovered quickly, some it definitely took longer. But, at the beginning of it, we did swabs to try to figure out what exactly it was we were concerned about. I was concerned about canine influenza, kennel cough. It's something about kennel cough. Kennel cough is pretty generic. I say that, it's almost like the common cold, you got a cold type thing. So there's a whole list of viruses and bacteria that can cause that. The test did come back as something called mycoplasmosis. Usually not an aggressive bacteria, but at this point, that's what we got, and based on the fact that it spread through that kennel so quickly, that's what we had there. So with that, we did change our antibiotics, finding that out, and treated it properly with that. It happened, and, could not be accurate the way the team there took the responsibility, jumped in there. I think we probably had $50, $60, $70 at that time. And you can imagine that number of dollars, that much medicine to give, injections, fluids, oral meds, just hardcore. It was incredible. And I feel like the fact that the decision was made to close the facility was key. It really was. If we would have continued adopting our dogs, a whole list of, things could have happened. I mean, one of the dogs who got home, just been sick, maybe no one didn't have time or money to take care of it. The other thing is they could have taken the dog that they adopted, who was that name, who was sick, and then they could have gotten dogs at the vet anyway sick. They could have taken all got their own dogs, their other dogs sick. The road part, the dog sit there. So, just incredible. Very happy with it. Talking to partners, and so happy with the way it turned out.
is there more presentation, or is it okay to do some more questions?
We have just a couple more slides.
Okay,
I'll be glad.
I'll save it to the end.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, those are calls for service. I don't know if you read that, but, you know, from the times of January 1st till, I believe it's the 6th up there, there was 611 animal calls, that the Sumner County Sheriff's Office answered. Okay, talk a little bit about, I would like to read this to you because this is our soul. This is what we believe in. The mission of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office is to serve the people of Sumner County in an honest, courteous, and responsible manner, to provide the citizens of this county with protection and confidence in the ability and integrity of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and to be good stewards of the tax revenue provided by the good citizens of Sumner County. So I just threw up there the budget year of 2022-2023, appropriated was $581,189. We utilized 431, 5087 of it, and we returned 149,938. Now let me say something about that. We were 2 personnel short that year, okay, due to trying to recruit officers to come and work for us. So a lot of that we returned is salaries and benefits. But it's just, and people know every year the sheriff tries to turn in money that he doesn't use. He's very frugal. And then the trustees has been asked about, but by using trustees, it's saving the Sumner County taxpayers thousands of dollars annually. I'm saying thousands, because we'd like to have 12 at a time. Sometimes we don't. And at this time, we're using females, because females are actually clean better than males, okay? And they're very passionate about the animals. Now, these trustees are, personally, by myself, are vetted, okay? By vetted, I look at every one of their criminal histories, okay? If they got a violent criminal history, if they got anything with a child or any animal cruelty, of course, they're turned down. I say, no, they can't do it. But if most of them are DUIs, drugs, theft, and things such as that, which is, so those are the type of trustees we utilize for that. And the things they assist staff with is clean and sanitize kennels, feed and water all animals, walk, exercise, and play with animals. And I wish we had pictures of some of the trustees. We've had trustees to get out of jail and come back and adopt dogs that they've helped care for while they're there. I mean, so they, we all, some people have problems and downtimes in their life. And actually, it's been therapy for trustees. Because they come in here and they correspond with these dogs, and it's been therapy for them. So if we had to hire personnel, and the trustees are constantly cleaning, right, the whole time they're there. And if we had to hire personnel to do that, it would cost Sumner County thousands of dollars. Go ahead, sir. Is that it? All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm going to direct my questions to the chair. First of all, if he tells me, just go ahead and answer them, I will. Mr. Chairman, I do appreciate them bringing this forward. It looks like a really good self-promotional video, and I'm glad they did it because it makes me feel a lot better than I did last month about things that are going on there. I can see that you guys care about the animals deeply through a lot of those slides, but it also gave me a lot more questions. And we do not have time to go through all those this time, but I think a lot of the committee probably has more questions after seeing these slides. And I'd like to make a motion just to form an ad hoc committee to discuss this outside of committee, where we can dive into this more. This is a bigger issue than just settling on one night and feeling good about what happened. There's suggestions, I'm sure, that are going to come out of this committee. There's questions on how to do things better that I think we need other people's opinions on. So I'd just like to make a motion to do an ad hoc committee.
I'll second it.
Well, we're not in session, so I thought we was going with questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said.
I'd make a movement to get back in session.
Right. So
I'm actually not through my presentation.
go ahead, Captain.
So, I'd like to explain a few things, okay? We are not adversaries to other organizations. We are open to suggestions, we're open to communication. Now, we can talk about past issues and so forth, but that's like talking about the past commission, right? We're talking about today. And I promise you, in my credibility, we are open to talking to everybody. We do have, laws that pertain to us as an animal shelter, and not a rescue or so forth. There's certain things that we have to do, and we have to follow by law. But I want to make sure, this is no different than when we talk about oversight for the animal control. That happens every election period, right? Because the sheriff is overwhelmingly elected the last several elections. And I think the citizens of Sumner County knows what kind of job the Sumner County Sheriff's Office is doing, whether it be the SRO, warrants, courts, jail, animal control. So I think we cannot please everyone, and I would love to, and I pray at night that the decisions I make are good decisions and the right decisions. But there's, unfortunately, that can never be done. So with the personnel we've got, with the equipment resources we've got, now we would love for the commission to expand our operation, and we could do really a lot better, okay? But, as a longtime public servant, and as a citizen who, I have 4 dogs and 10 horses, I love animals. And, if I didn't think the best thing for them was being done, I'd be having a hissy fit. Okay? Thank you very much.
Sure. Should we go back in the session now? Should we vote to go back in the session?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to do. Okay. All right, are you done, Captain?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, so, let's go back into session. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, do we have one to vote on?
Yes, question.
I understand, but we've got 2 that left. I just want to make sure that we
There's
can.
5 on it. I'll vote.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure.
So I restate.
Sure.
Okay, and just for the record, I don't doubt that they're not doing the best with what they have. I want to ask questions, to see if we need to do more, if we need to spend more money or not. I appreciate the fiscal responsibility, and my goal is not necessarily to make a citizen oversight committee or anything like that. I just want to, have these discussions in a bigger forum than just on a committee night. So I'd like to make the motion to, form an ad hoc committee to discuss this further.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Jones to form an ad hoc committee, second by Commissioner Jones. All those, is there questions? Jen Jones? Just all run together. Any discussion on that?
I think we need to be aware of the fact, I don't want to mislead anyone out here, that the sheriff is an elected official, constitutional officer, that the commission does not even have any authority over whatsoever. We budgetarily fund his thing. I would just wouldn't want to mislead anyone. I think an inquiry to gather information is good, but I don't want this to be thought as a solve-all for this, because the sheriff can do whatever he wants to, and he does not have to do as the commission, this committee, or anyone else asking him to do.
Correct, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Mr. Hyde, Chairman Hyde, because that's what I was going to be saying. That's what I was going to ask legal. If we form this ad hoc committee, I guess, is there really an outcome or a purpose that we can expect, or are we spinning our wheels and talking to the sheriff, or is it something that we could do individually? Obviously, as a commissioner, we could take tours, and it's open to the public, and do that, and bring back the findings of our own back to this body and discuss, I guess, of what we found or what we saw. Or is that something we should leave well enough alone, knowing that he is the constitutional officer and we're defunding?
Anything that comes out of the ad hoc is going to be, if it results in a resolution, it'll be advisory only, and the only control that the commission would have is any budgetary related issues with anything as far as operation of that place. So yes, there would be no teeth to anything that came out of that committee. Not to say not to get all the facts you want, but I agree with that assessment.
Is that because animal control is under the sheriff right now?
That's correct. I think that.
Not viewed as its own department, it's under the umbrella of the sheriff's department. Is that
Correct.
I would just like, as part of this discussion, due to the open meeting laws, we cannot discuss if we go individually. I think there's more in a discussion. I appreciate Mary's medical background and Tim's depth of questions, so that's why I'd like an ad hoc, so we can have an open meeting and we can have dialogue.
But I think that each commissioner could go and talk to the sheriff and tour and bring back their own ideas, and there's not an open meetings violation there.
We can't discuss it.
What are we voting on? He is his own body. I mean, he is his, again, I'll say this, as like I said before, we need to caution ourselves with this, because I can't tell the register, we as a body can't direct the register of deeds, we can't direct the clerk, we can't direct anybody to do that.
So we can address that when it happens.
Address?
Whatever we talk about, I mean, we're just asking to explore. And whatever.
Could we not do that as a single county commissioner, or one or two?
Possibly the ad hoc committees.
Well, I was asking legal question if I.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could we
talk amongst themselves?
Could we not, as two commissioners, go and tour the facility?
The key to the Open Meetings Act is deliberation.
Right.
If two people happen to be going up there to ask some questions, that's fine. If the two that leave happen to be commissioners and start deliberating on what to do, you've got a Open Meetings Act violation.
But if we're seeing the facility, if me and Commissioner Jones goes and looks at the facility and sees the dog's conditions and then goes to the jail or goes to Resource Authority or somewhere else, and not talk about a vote to fund or a vote to do anything, just what we saw, is that Open Meetings
We can do
Act?
field trips.
Well, that, to me, that all comes full circle to what's the purpose of doing it then anyway.
Right.
So, technically, yes, you could do that. It just seems like a long way to go to get to that point.
Right. Okay, Commissioner Jones?
To the point of why do an ad hoc, I've had several citizens reach out to me and give me questions to ask. I would like to have a citizen that is an expert on this ad hoc committee. I'd like to have somebody from the sheriff's department or from animal control on this committee. I'd like to have some commissioners on this committee. There's different points of view that needs to be in this discussion, and we can do this, keep this on old business and do this every month for the next 3 or 4 months until we get all these questions out, or we could do an ad hoc committee, come up with some suggestions, things that may be beneficial to the sheriff's department. If it's deemed that more money is the outcome that is needed to make it happen, then that may be an outcome. If it's doing something in a more modern way that another county is doing it, we can investigate how other people are doing it. They may be different than they're doing it. This discussion just needs to go further. This is not something individually we can do. I'd just like to restate my motion to have an ad hoc committee.
We've got a motion in a second. We're just discussing on the motions on the floor. Anyone else? Go ahead, Lee.
I'd just like to make one point. Somebody brought up quorum. We do have a quorum, but it's still going to take a vote of 4 to move it, so just wanted everybody to be clear on that.
I call for this.
All right. So we've got a motion and a second to form an ad hoc committee. Clerk, call the roll. No.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, this protocol to have committees like that, or do we go into?
Legal, that would be on us to devise that committee, correct?
Correct.
So, you said you wanted citizens?
Yes, at least one citizen, I would like that.
Right, who else does the body want?
I'm open to suggestions from the other
We wanted
members also.
one of the
A member from sheriff's
sheriff's department, animal control.
Maybe Mr. Tarlaki.
Yeah.
Captain Tarlaki.
commissioners you want?
I'd say 3, if that's 2 or 3.
Okay.
And then, citizen, sheriff.
That would be nice if we could find one, but I don't know who they would suggest.
Well, the animal control people are trained, and so they can help. Yeah, and they have that, so they have questions they can ask their vet.
How many animal control people do you want?
I would only say 1, that won't take them away
One
from
that knows enough about it to
Yeah.
answer questions.
Yeah. It doesn't, and, I would suggest that it be succinct, when are we gonna meet? And when do we start the meeting? When do we start the ad hoc? Notify those that are, who are you gonna appoint? So three commissioners. Who wants to be on the committee? Question. Okay, I'll be on it if they need somebody to be on it. Tim? Any of you want to be on the ad hoc? I'll do it. Okay, Terry? Janet? No, that's.
You let the committee
I'm good.
pick that.
Y'all are good, I'm good. And then, we need to request animal control officer and then a citizen, appointed citizen, so we would have to reach out and ask for a citizen that would be interested in doing that.
You want the sheriff's office to appoint the citizen, or do you want the citizen to come from the body?
From the body, I think that's, more down the middle.
That'll probably have to be drafted up in the resolution and to make our own commission. And then it's usually the chairman of the actual committee that created it to designate and appoint, however you want to do that, which it seems to be what you're doing now.
Yes.
Is fine, but it's at your discretion.
So we've got this, we believe we know who we want from the animal control. I'll send you guys an email tomorrow, and then we'll reach out for citizen nominations from the committee.
There was the woman that was here who had great ideas, that was representing a larger group. Maybe she might be interested in being part of that committee. That would be something to reach out maybe to them.
Yeah, I've got some contacts.
He's got contacts.
I'll ask who that.
Right. All right. So I'll get that to legal tomorrow, and then we'll go forward with that. I don't think we'll need a resolution to go forward with. I think this committee can operate within the logistics of it to form an ad hoc as a subcommittee of this committee.
Mr. Chairman, is that something that's announced?
I'm sorry?
Is the ad hoc announced for the next month?
No, they'll have notice that'll be sent out to them.
Do we vote on a time for that?
That's for the ad hoc committee to form and do.
So who's in charge of starting that?
We'll send that out tomorrow, and then that ad hoc committee will form its chair, then you'll set times from there.
Okay.
All right, new business is, sheriff's office policies that is in your packet. I have a motion to get them on the floor.
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
So all these policies that we got were issued on the 18th. Well, the issue date is 9/18, and today is 9/7. And then they go into effect January 1, 2024. I feel like we need more time to look at that. This is a bunch of policy.
Yes, I agree. Are we open for discussion? I agree. I've gotten to page 31. I have more questions than I have answers now, and I'm taking notes. And I would agree with the citizen comment that said I would like a red line, because it's fine for me to read this, but if something has changed, I don't know that I'm voting on a good change, a legal change, choice change. I just want to, and I will commit to reading it all, and I'll commit to reading the past one, if I could get a copy of the past one to compare to the new one. Also, I don't know if, I think legal needs to see these before we vote on, you do? Have you read them all?
Not all of them.
Oh, okay, so is it a race?
Would you like, that's up to the committee. And the finish line is where?
Way down the road.
Yeah.
All right, so are you asking to defer these a month?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd like to defer to our next meeting, so
Okay.
that we have time to absolutely review.
Okay. And then,
And,
go ahead.
well, since the sheriff is not present,
He's got a designee here. Lieutenant.
for the policy, so are y'all open for questions on these? Not tonight. Can I call you and ask questions? I got a question. Okay. Wanted to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Can I just request,
Lieutenant, I think, sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Moore.
because we all might be at a different point in reading these 300 pages, if your questions go out, could you CC all of us so we don't repeat your questions, or we learn from your questions? When you call them, you email them and CC us? Because I don't want to call them the next week and ask them the same
Do
question.
you like to read? I have lots of questions. Okay. Do you like to read?
He wrote them. He wrote them. He was on part of the committee.
Oh, there was a committee. Oh, okay, well, that's not in our packet.
I
It
did,
doesn't say there was a committee.
I tried to do my due diligence and reach out to the agency and what I have. Seriously though, if I could ask a question. Sure. This is pretty much new and fresh, correct? That's correct. There's really not a archive that you can go back to.
We have an old policy manual. It's only about 140, 150 pages, and it's
Very dated.
it's extremely outdated.
About
It's
16 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was a really long time to go through everything and update with current GCAs and policing practices.
Good.
Are there regulations on timing for updating? I know some of the other agencies that we see, they go through a 5-year cycle where they're required to go back and refresh. Is that something that you do? Or is it just y'all just realized that you needed to do this, or were you up against the deadline?
So it's my understanding it's the first time that we've done it as an agency going through and changed. I don't believe that there's a legal requirement.
Thank you. And Mr. Rogers said 16 years under you. That's
Not right. I haven't been here 16 years, maybe Captain could attest to it.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim, or Captain, I'm sorry.
So we have staff here in the office, which is 6 of us, the sheriff's staff. And it was concerned that, laws have changed, things have changed. And, you know, it was one of my concerns that we need to update that, policy manual. And the very best way to do that is to have a committee, okay? Not the sheriff say, this is what I want, this is what I want. So how long has the committee been active?
2.5 years, maybe.
2.5 years, this committee of professionals, which includes patrol and different divisions of our agency, sat down and believe me, it's a hash out, just like you guys have, you know, is what we have in there. And everything was, you know, was best practices for law enforcement. We reviewed, correct me if I'm wrong, with different agencies, different policy management, different agencies. And like I said before, we didn't want the basics, we want to be the best. So that is what this committee has done. They have worked very, very, very hard for 2.5 years to put this together.
So you are the captain?
I'm a captain. We have 2 captains.
Oh, it just says captain. It doesn't say how many. I'm learning so much about this. This is, just riveting.
And actually, there's 2 captains on the, control side, and there's 2 captains on the correctional side.
So how many lieutenants are there?
Depends on where you're at.
Can I ask him a question? See, you don't work at the jail, do you, currently? Okay, but when I'm asking you a question, thank you.
Yeah, there's like 7 or 8.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. All right. Thank you. I would like a list, Chairman, I would like to request that we get a list of the people who helped write this, so that when I send the emails that everyone wants to be copied on, they will go to the committee. Does that make sense? Is that all right? Okay.
Captain, also, if you don't mind, and I'll email you tomorrow and remind, can we get an org chart of the sheriff's office? Let's show, just show like the lieutenants and who fails.
Yes, that would be very helpful, and I promise to memorize it, Chairman.
All that. All right.
none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Now, delegation of $104,868 for rural fire departments. That's, this is the budget money that we set aside in the budget, for all volunteer fire departments. My understanding is that the, chiefs of the volunteer fire departments of the county has gotten together and met, and they have decided they want to split their money, across the departments. And that's what they've attached here, to send us on through the hoops. As customarily as what we've done in the past is they just show this, and then, the volunteer fire departments takes these lists, these wish lists, and they distribute the money from finance. This is money that's already been allocated, in my understanding. Motion?
I have a question. So this is the money that was appropriated during budget?
Correct.
So, and this is just, they're splitting it, and they're just letting us know because they're a non-for-profit. They can split it any way they want to. It's just a docket with us.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
This is money that we've already said, here, it's yours,
Gotcha.
and they're just, and truthfully, let's get a motion. Do we have a motion in a second?
I'll have a motion.
Second. Yeah.
Discussion.
Yeah. All right. So, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good. All right. So my understanding is, and I'm not really sure, I'm gonna have to get with finance and see, once we allocate this money legal, I don't think we have any purse strings tied to it, correct? I mean, once we put it there, so I don't know really why they're coming back saying this is where we want our money to go.
It's nice to know.
Well, but I think once we allocate it, we can't tell them this is what you wanna do with your fire.
So while we're on that,
I don't think, am I off?
No, that's correct, once it's allocated.
is there a difference between a rural fire department and a volunteer fire department?
Not this
We
county.
designate them as volunteer fire
In
departments,
the budget,
correct?
they are, yes.
Well, then for the record, I would like to say, delegation of this amount of money for the volunteer fire department. In Chapel Island, they don't call it the rural fire department, they call it the volunteer fire department.
So you want to strike rural and
Yes,
make it volunteer?
volunteer fire department.
All those in favor, there was a motion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, now, that is out of order, but we're back on this. So, once the money is allocated, we've already funded the body and it's done. So, this is just a common courtesy, I guess, that they're coming back saying, this is how we want to spend our money. Got a motion and a second, any other discussion?
Motion to give them their go.
Yeah. Discussion. Chairman Hyde, you see?
What is the motion in the second floor?
It's just saying that, yes, they can go spend their money.
This is, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm just saying this, we have been cautioned over and over again about, being in trouble if we recognize and start mandating what these volunteer fire departments do. So I think, in my opinion, we need to stay away from bringing this to the commission that, hey, we approve this.
Correct.
We don't want any legal complications with it.
So we've got,
David's here. Is this the unallocated portion?
no, this is the agreement for 104,868.
The remaining, it says just volunteer fire departments.
Yes.
In the past, we've always sent those to county commission because the statute, there's a couple of things it says that the county commission will allocate the money. And number two, if they are a nonprofit, non-charitable, it also has to be advertised in the paper who's receiving it before they receive it, or before you guys contemplate
This
it.
has already been allocated to them.
The 104, but not broken down by department. That's why we do it that way every year. In other words, if you look at your original budget, or any appropriate allocated by each individual nonprofit, because each fire department is a different individual nonprofit. We put the 104 because there's not an allocation at the beginning, but after this committee approves it, generally what happens, it moves on to budget or the commission, but it needs to be published in a paper long enough to say you're contemplating giving fire department A, B, C this much money for this purpose.
You don't think that's going to tie us down any
Well, that's what we've always done in the past as a nonprofit, is we've allocated them. I'm just talking about allocation of the funds.
It's a nonprofit issue, it's not a county issue.
Right, it's when you do a nonprofit, non-charitable organization, you have to advertise it before you do it, contemplating you're doing it as a commission. Number two is if you go back and look at that statute, it talks about that the county commissioner approves it to the nonprofit. Well, right now, you just got one large amount that says, I think, rural fire departments, is that what it reads? So it's not really allocating it to any particular.
So it's just a lump sum.
So it needs to be allocated out.
And saying, well, we're giving you this much money.
Well, that's what we do every year, to allocate it out, and it needs to be advertised also.
So it will be split evenly per department. That's what will go out, and you just can give us that.
The commission will probably have to go through this, if there's enough time, there's probably enough time.
David was saying there's probably enough time to get this advertised in time for full commission this month.
Right, it'll probably roll.
So you probably just need to get legal, because legal usually advertising, just get legal to go ahead and advertise them this month, and then go ahead and send it to budget, that way it can go on forward.
Yeah.
Next month, that way we'll give you the time lag.
We need a motion to send it to budget.
I think, do we have a motion in second, right? For discussion?
We have a motion to discuss, and then y'all think it's a rural volunteer, and then she made a, Mr. Denay made a motion to approve.
Yeah.
We need a second to approve, yeah.
We have a second to approve.
Yeah, just like,
That's your-
yeah, start, all those in favor of sending this on, everybody understand what we're doing?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, there's one final thing on the agenda.
Can I have one quick housekeeping
Absolutely.
for money? I'd like to make a motion that we do not reprint this 300 pages for next month. We all bring them right back again, save a few trees.
I think that's a great idea.
Is that a voted thing? or just a
I think we
just a
should do
housekeeping
that.
thing.
Okay, you said motion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
See you, bye.